And you also say the skull is a being. I guess you feel that way too, because you're and they talked to you and they told you to come here to the studio. Thank you. But what else? What other kind? Well, where did you get this one from? And because it's a great story, if you can tell.
Synergy was given to me by a man I barely knew. I didn't want the skull. I wasn't interested in the skull. I told him no, thank you.
You didn't want to have anything to do with the skull.
Well, I didn't have anything against it, but I don't believe in wasting things, and I couldn't see what I would do with it. I was more interested in angels and lucid dreaming than I was in crystal skulls. And so when he was really insistent, I told him that I would have to go home and sleep on it and think about it. And I went home, and the way that I tricked myself into taking it, and I really believe I tricked myself, I really thought that it came to me because it knew that I would give it to whoever it needed to go to, because I didn't have an attachment to it. And so...
I'll take it.
At that time, she didn't have an
attachment.
Oh, okay.
I do know that at any time it could say that it wants to go with someone else, and
you would do that?
Of course.
You would?
It's my job.
So this guy, where were you when this guy approached you?
I was in Tucson. I had 5 galleries, and I was buying for the stores, and it was one of those strange things where my schedule opened up. Which was very unusual, and I just ran into him, and he started talking, and I saw that he had this skull, and I thought that he was selling it, and I thought that was gross. So I thought, why would somebody sell a sacred object? But it happens all the time.
Right, so...
Long story short, I did take the skull thinking I'd have it for a very short time, thinking that it wouldn't disrupt my life too much, and went back to him and asked him where he got it, and he told me this story that I didn't believe. He said that he's part Chilean and part Swedish, and his mother's family lives in Chile, and they have some relatives down in Brazil. He would trek the Andes, and he said that he was somewhere near Bolivia, Peru. He's not totally sure where. He stayed overnight camping with a group of natives. And an old man gave him the skull with, again, he didn't know him.
An old man in the Andes,
gave him the skull. The guy's grandson told him that the skull said he'd be coming, and that this is the history of the skull. He also gave him a document at that time, which he kept. I don't have the document, but it's still in Sweden.
But didn't you say there was something about the Pacific, South Pacific?
Yeah, he said that it had come across the Pacific in a reed canoe, stopped in the Hawaiian Islands, and then went into the northern Andes with a people called the People of the Sky, the Warriors of the Clouds, who the Spanish called the Chachapoyu. But they don't exist anymore. But a lot of the natives in the area, the remnants of them, many of those people in Central America and the Yucatan had crystal skulls. And so people started literally coming just out of the woodwork saying, oh, well, the skull's awake, we need to sit with it. Native people. Still happens.
And so do you go down there and sit with people?
No, I can't take the skull. Like Shauna Ra can't go into the Yucatan because the government would like to own it. Well, I really didn't believe that the story could be true until I was contacted by a tribe in the South Pacific who said, well, we sent this skull across the Pacific in a reed canoe.
They contacted
you?
They
contacted me.
How'd they even know?
Well, because the skull was carved originally as a twin, and they still have the twin, and the twin told them where I was.
The twin?
The twin
psychically told
the shaman.
Really?
And they've contacted me many times and shown up in places that I've been. And
this tribe from the has contacted you and has shown up.
Right, and I said, well, certainly if the skull had been in the Hawaiian Islands, the kahunas would know that. And then I met some kahunas who said, oh yeah, the skull was in the Hawaiian Islands, and we have a cave here called the Cave of the Ancestors. That's a secret cave, and in it is the reed canoe that the skull came across the Pacific in.
But was it Lemurian originally? That you
That's
think
what the
it's
tribe says, yeah.
Lemurian. And also talk about how you got the name Synergy.
Well, it said its name was Synergy, and I thought it was a stupid name. I thought, well, Shauna Ra sounds mysterious, Max is so powerful. Synergy sounded like a technological name or something.
Right. Yes.
And it said, well, that's the quality of the energy that I manifest on the earth at this time. It said it had been called other things, but at this time it wanted to be called Synergy. Well, when the tribe contacted me, one of the first things I said is, well, what's its real name? They said, well, the closest English name or word would be Synergy. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, what, it said it had other names, and the most ancient name that they called the skull that he knows of was the flame of life. So
this was used in the ancient tribes as a ceremonial object that they would meditate with?
Yes, and the people of the sky would, about every 5 years, take the skull down to the Nazca Plains. They would have these ceremonies on the 13th full moon, and it was a ceremony to celebrate the gratitude for being allowed to be on the earth. And there'd be 5,000 flute players on these plains. So that's the type of ceremony that skull was used for. And I've met a number of descendants of different tribes in the area, and they have stories, and they'll sit and hold the skull and cry, talking about stories, that they've heard, that wow, they're holding part of their own history.
Wow.
I did offer the skull back to the tribe, by the way.
You did?
Synergy has writing on the bottom.
It does?
Right, and I just finally, after years and years, we had a linguist, expert in Ogham. That was the closest anybody had come to. They said it was a runic language. And the tribe has a lot of artifacts with the same runes, and they have no written language. It's all oral history. And they said they did not put that on there, but we just had it translated into the runes, which of course is, who knows, seems to be a list of the qualities the power object has.
Right.
It's very
All kinds of
interesting.
symbols emerge from these things.
Yeah, and when you put
Sometimes
it
they're
on a
hidden.
special light and you shine it through the runes, then the inclusions inside create other runes. It's pretty cool.
Very cool.
It's really interesting, yeah.
Instead of a third eye, this one has more of a fourth.
You'll see here, there's like a little triangle, and sometimes when it's photographed, you see light going into it. It's interesting.
It's different, the one-on-one experience as opposed to the two together.